Hey guys, this is Frank from Altcoin Buzz coming to you here from sunny Bali, and man oh man, yield farming is going absolutely nuts. So we have Sushi now. You've heard of yams. Of course, there was a whole disaster with yams. So a little warning which will come about Sushi as well, but honestly, I'm more excited than anything about Sushi despite this warning. We'll go into basically what that is and why it has absolutely exploded over the past couple of days, and why I honestly think it'll probably increase in value over the coming week or two as well. We're going to briefly go over how you can make money yield farming on DeFi. Now guys, I have to admit I haven't actually yield farmed myself, but I'm going to start today. I'm going to start providing liquidity on Uniswap. I find it really exciting to be part of this DeFi revolution, and as fun as it is to buy low caps and sell them, at a huge profit, I really want to be a bit more active in the space, actually using these protocols. I mean, of course, I'm using Uniswap, but I would love to add liquidity to these pools. So I've been hesitating up until now because I didn't fully understand it. I mean, the details of it. But now I'm just going to take a plunge and I'm going to go for it. So that should be exciting. We're going to have a quick market overview to show you how DEXs and SEXs are doing, decentralized versus centralized exchanges. Also, the stable coins have had a massive pump recently. And accordingly, we will show you this stable printer guy on Twitter who posts how many billions of dollars or millions of dollars are being printed in USDC and USDT on a regular basis. That's quite interesting. And we're going to compare the DeFi total value locked versus ICO investments. So basically DeFi versus ICO, because it's a very sort of reminiscent of 2017 when people were just pouring money into ICOs, and see like if DeFi is more sustainable than ICOs or not. And yeah, finally, we'll go into a bit more detail about Sushi Swap. I actually bought a little bit because it just sounds really exciting. And what they've done here, man, this is really adding a lot of value if you ask me. If you enjoy this content and want to see more of it, don't forget to subscribe, like, and hit that notification button, as it really helps to support the channel. Before I get started, I just want to let you know that I am not a financial advisor and that trading and investing presents financial risks. Okay, so getting started with the markets. First of all, I'm really liking app.sentiment.net. You get a really nice overview of different statistics which are relevant and important. So for example, here we have all assets up 2.05%. ERC20 tokens, of course, Ethereum, everything to do with Ethereum, with DeFi is going nuts. The DeFi summer chart shows this very well. 30% almost over the last 7 days, outperforming every other basket of assets here. And centralized exchanges have seen a bump recently, but guys, centralized exchanges seeing a 4% increase over the last 7 days. First of all, it doesn't compare to the decentralized exchanges, which have gone up 8.6%. But secondly, have a look at this. This is the Uniswap protocol analysis. Look at the volume of the last 24 hours. Almost $600 million, guys. This is nuts. So I posted this tweet here for Altcoin Buzz yesterday. This was when the volume was $499 million. And I compared it to Coinbase's volume of $410 million. So even then, we were $80 million above. Let's see where we are now. So looking at Coinbase Pro volume, okay, it's gone up to 449 million. So still, that's $150 million less over the last 24 hours than Uniswap. Guys, this is so exciting. This is what we're here for. This is the decentralized revolution. We don't need these centralized companies, and this is proof of it. Up until now, it's been a lot of speculation. Well, I mean, Bitcoin hasn't been speculation. Obviously, that's been going up like crazy for 10 years now. But Uniswap has just absolutely exploded, and of course, a lot of people are buying low caps, and I don't know how much this is adding to the volume, to be honest, like people really speculating on these low caps. But you can see that the top tokens here, you have Wrapped Ether, of course, Tether, USDC, DAI stablecoin, and now, of course, Sushi token, which we'll be talking about in a bit. This is really nuts. So yeah, the DeFi boom is alive and well. As you can see from this chart, it's just had a massive pump recently. And even if we correct from here, this is not going away, guys. This is the beginning of the revolution. And you might think that DeFi is in a bubble, and to be fair, it is. But the question is, how much higher can the bubble go? I was a little bit skeptical a few weeks ago. I was like, well, DeFi is going up like crazy. Is it all worth it? And really, if you want to figure out whether or not this is going to be sustainable, try it yourself. Just try some liquidity mining. Try using Uniswap. This is one of the reasons why I want to add liquidity, because I want to be part of this, and also it shows you how much value this is adding to the space, and it enables you to understand why it's pumping, and maybe enable you to hold some tokens or coins longer than you might otherwise. All right, guys, but in any case, the topic of conversation today, of course, is yield farming. So again, on app.santiment.net here, you have yield farming, yield or farming, and you can see the social volume here. So in August, in sort of early August, we had some huge spikes in volume. And by the way, and this volume is the social volume, right, for these words, yield or farming. And this is the Ethereum price, which they're comparing it to. And you can see that when we had these massive spikes, Ethereum price was just steadily going up, but then we had a boom over here when Ethereum went from a price of $400 to basically $450. And then things cooled off a bit, and now we've had another boom. You know, I wouldn't be surprised if this initiates a new Ethereum pump as well. And you can also see the charts on Telegram here. The recent boom is not quite as pronounced. This, of course, is for the social volume overall. On Telegram, you can also see a small pump here. Not really, to be honest. It looks pretty even compared to the past. On Reddit, you can see a new pump in interest for yield farming. Professional traders chat as well, Discord. Everywhere, people are talking about yield farming. I think it's really important and really interesting to get into yield farming, even with just a small amount, because of course there are risks involved, and if we get time, we'll touch on that as well. But as you can see here, the big names, the trending words, Ethereum Compound, of course, Wi-Fi, as I said, anything with Y in front of it is just going nuts right now. DeFi, Sushi, we'll talk about monthly, I guess that's monthly APR fees, Uniswap, obviously, YETH, and gas. And yeah, just before we get onto the yield farming, I always find it interesting to see these different baskets of assets. You can see stable coins here up 27% in total capitalization over the last 7 days. And I was curious where all these coins are being printed from. And here from this Twitter account, Stablecoin Printer, you can see 10 hours ago, $2.9 million of USDC has been printed. And USDC, by the way, is much more reliable, is actually, they have checked to see if the dollars are actually available. So it's much more reliable than USDT, but unfortunately USDT still has a lot more trading volume. And you can see USDT printed 3.4 billion pretty much at the same time that USDC printed 3 million. So it is a bit scary to, you know, not have full access or understanding or knowledge of, you know, the money behind USDT, if it's actually, you know, just being printed out of thin air or if there's something behind it. But there you go. In the last few days, look, another 8.6 million on 30th of August. And, you know, this is really nuts. But okay, this is not the topic of the video. I just thought it was interesting to show you guys that this has been increasing significantly over the past 7 days. And I know some people are concerned when there's, you know, all this basically tethered dollars being printed. But okay, let's now have a look at this CoinDesk article. What is yield farming? The rocket fuel of DeFi explained. And have a look at this. The DeFi total value locked versus ICO investments. Here, 1.85 billion was at the time of this article, but this, of course, was on July 6, 2020, just a month and a half ago. But if we head over to DeFiPulse.com, you can see that right now we have 8.24 billion. And you can see a really steep curve going up here. And by the way, there was a dip in March. And honestly, this kind of dip can be expected again. Have a look from March. Anyway, you can see that there's a big dip. We went from about 1.2 billion all the way down to 655 million. So a big dip there. And that's the thing, guys, like if Bitcoin drops in value like 10, 20, 30%, DeFi, of course, will also drop in value. It's very closely connected to Bitcoin. You know, people are excited about DeFi and they're saying, oh, Bitcoin isn't moving, DeFi is. All right. But if Bitcoin makes a big move to the downside, a lot of these liquidity pool tokens, which people are earning, will decrease significantly in value. And then they will have less incentive to lend out their money. But for now, as you can see, we are going up and up and up. If you look at the last 90 days, you can see a much steadier rise. But obviously, if you look at the 1 year, you can see that it's really this monumental exponential move up recently. But in any case, yeah, 8.2 billion locked, 8.24 billion. And that is actually much higher than the ICO investments. If you go to the ICO investments, sort of end of 2017, you can see that the ICO investments reached just 6 billion. So DeFi is already much bigger than the ICO boom, which is pretty exciting. And I honestly think it has a lot more value. The ICO boom, there were a lot of ICOs which just were not adding any value. People were just buying it because they just went up in general. But, you know, in DeFi, you're actually adding a whole ecosystem, you know, with decentralized exchanges, with being able to borrow money and lend money. I remember being able to borrow and lend crypto was, you know, very much in demand a couple of years ago, but you had a few centralized cryptocurrencies or projects or companies which were trying to do it, but it just never really took off until now. So there's real value in DeFi. It's not just going to be a fade. It's not a fad. It's not just going to go up and then tank and then never come back again. Of course, it will burst its bubble to some extent, but there's no telling how much higher it can go. All right, guys, so for the purpose of this video, I'm going to assume that you know the basics of yield farming, or you basically know what it does and how it works. So I'm going to go over some more specific things. Here, Instadap.io, it aims to drive interoperability between protocols for power users and ease of development, allowing developers of all stripes to start leveraging the full potential of decentralized finance. So the great thing about Instadap is that you can see all your DeFi assets, and you can see all the liquidity pool tokens which you're earning through Compound, Aave, Curve, and you can see the lendings that you have, your borrowings, all of these different details under one platform. So if you're yield farming, this is a great app to use. And as I say, I have personally not yet started, but I'm excited to do that because it's such a big mover in the space. I was more interested in DEXs before, and I still am. I'm still in Unitrade, by the way, guys. I talked about why I thought that was undervalued. You can see that in the video above. But yeah, in any case, now yield farming, like I really want to start learning about this and getting into it. And I think you guys should too. It's just really exciting. And it's part of what crypto is about. And hey, you can also make some passive income with it. Why not? Now, if you're yield farming, another great resource which I've learned about is DefiRate.com. And here you can explore the DeFi lending rates of a whole range of different platforms. So the way to take your yield farming to the next level is to use a variety of platforms to take advantage of the discrepancy between lending and borrowing rates on different platforms. And this is a great resource to see what the rates are. But yeah, guys, I like to interact with you guys. Have you done any yield farming? Which platforms have you used? Okay, now the next thing I want to talk about is Sushi. So Sushi has gone up 105% in the last 24 hours. And there's a possibility that this will just keep on going. Now, I usually prefer to invest in lower market caps. Especially right now, I'm interested more in like sub 20 million market caps. But this is right now in 93rd place. So it's already in the top 100. That doesn't mean it doesn't have further room to grow. But I could easily see this doing a 2x or maybe even a 3x in the coming weeks. And I'll tell you why that might happen. Again, I've bought just a tiny amount of Sushi. Actually, I've been trying to buy, but I've had 2 transactions which have failed. So I must admit it's pretty frustrating. And also, I'm paying fees for these transactions. Thankfully, I'm not, buying like a tiny amount, like, $100, whereby, the transaction fees are 10%. But I can understand it really sucks for you guys if you're, if you're trying to buy $100 or $200 worth and you're paying $10 or more in fees. But yeah, in any case. So Sushi is what everyone is talking about right now. And, when I first hear it, I'm like, Sushi, that just sounds silly. Like, why would I invest in something called Sushi, which is a financial product? But, this is just a product of the sort of decentralized revolution. People, they use silly names like yams and farming and stuff. And it sounds sort of unprofessional, but, don't let that make you underestimate it, because there is a lot of value, as we've seen, of course, with yield farming in this space in general. So what is the Sushi Swap project? This is an evolution of Uniswap with Sushi tokenomics. And this, of course, was written just several days ago on August 27th. So the question here is, why would someone want to provide liquidity to Sushi Swap as opposed to Uniswap? Well, with Uniswap, liquidity providers only earn the pool's trading fees when they are actively providing said liquidity. Once they have withdrawn their portion of the pool, they no longer receive that passive income. And then moreover, as the protocol gains traction, despite being early liquidity providers, they risk getting their return diluted as bigger and wealthier stakeholders, such as venture funds, exchanges, and mining pools, join the protocol with a huge amount of capital. However, with Uniswap, one can also provide some liquidity into a pool and earn rewards in the form of Sushi tokens. However, unlike Uniswap, these Sushi tokens will also entitle you to continue to earn a portion of the protocol's fee accumulated in Sushi. Even if, and this is the important part, even if you decide to no longer participate in the liquidity provision. So this next sentence is what got me really excited, and this is this. As an early adopter to help provider liquidity, you become a significant stakeholder of the protocol. So what this means is that they are incentivizing people to add liquidity for new tokens, right? Because if you add liquidity for these new tokens, you get these LPs or liquidity pool tokens, which come in the form of Sushi. And even if you take your liquidity out of the pool, you still get to keep those LPs or those Sushi tokens. Now, of course, the earnings that you'll receive from staking will be proportional to the amount of LP tokens you have staked versus the total amount of LP tokens staked. So unless you continue to provide liquidity, your holdings and corresponding reward earnings will gradually be diluted. But nonetheless, you still earn a portion of the protocol's fee, even if you no longer decide to participate in the liquidity provision. So again, this is providing people a lot of incentive to provide liquidity for these lower cap market coins, which can be a big issue because especially if you want to invest larger amounts, it's hard to get that liquidity that you need. And of course, this will incentivize bigger players to add liquidity for these lower, smaller market caps. Now, this is why I think this coin might continue to pump over the next week or two. And again, this is just assuming that Bitcoin doesn't drop too heavily, which I don't think it will, by the way, guys. We've got solid support at 11,100, and we're right now in the middle of a range for Bitcoin. But anyway, here, listen to this. At every block, 100 Sushi tokens will be created. All right. These tokens will be equally distributed to the stakers of each of the supported pools. But this is where it gets crazy, guys. This is where I think, we likely have more room for growth. However, for the first 100,000 blocks, so approximately 2 weeks, the amount of Sushi tokens produced will be 10x, resulting in 1,000 Sushi tokens being minted per block compared to the 100 which will be minted per block after 2 weeks. And this is to incentivize early farmers and adopters of the protocol and to help in the liquidity migration. So Sushi has only been around for a few days here, at least on CoinGecko. It's only been here since, Monday 30, no, that's 24 hours. Let's go to Max here. It's only been here since 29th of August. I guess they might have launched a day or two before that, but that means there's still another 10 days or so to go for being able to earn these 10x rewards. So in other words, you won't be able to earn this much Sushi or anywhere close to this much Sushi 2 weeks from now. So yeah, it's definitely a big incentive to start earning right now. And then of course they talk about the initial set of available pools, and they say here, of course, the Sushi WETH pool gets twice the amount. So be sure to supply your Sushi to Uniswap to become eligible for your yummies. Guys, I totally FOMO'd into this. I didn't buy a large amount, largely because I don't want to buy a big amount of any coin, which has gone up 100% in the last 24 hours. And again, I told you, my transaction hasn't even gone through right now. Hopefully it will somehow go through eventually. But yeah, I've just bought a tiny amount. I really want to add liquidity to this Sushi WETH pool and just be part of this. It's fun. It's risky, obviously. And in terms of risk, I want to point out this to you. So the security audit, this is always a very important thing when you're yield farming, is you want the protocol to be audited by a third party. So of course they say security is important to us. We reasonably unit test coverage and have tested everything that works on the testnet. However, they haven't been audited by a third party yet, which is of course a bit concerning. And here they say we invite Trail of Bits, Peck Shield, Open Zeppelin, Consensus, Certic, and QuantStamp and more to audit the contracts. And here they're going to offer 5 ETH of their life savings for this audit immediately after it's confirmed. So one of the reasons why they're offering so much in terms of Sushi right now is that there is risk still involved, And, we covered YAM in a previous video where, it basically went to zero. So, be very careful about putting large amounts in here. But nonetheless, if it works out and I don't know, I have a good feeling about this. This website just kind of gives me a good vibe. But we'll see. If it works out, it could be very, very profitable to get these Sushi while they're still, probably relatively cheap. I mean, even though it's gone up 100%, definitely does have potential room for growth. That being said, yeah, we already are 156 million market cap, already in the top 100. But yeah, I think it's interesting, and I'm gonna become a chef, and hey, maybe one day I'll become a master chef. Who knows? But all right, guys, that's been it from me for this video today. Let me know what you're yield farming or which yield farming coins you're just holding. Maybe you're just taking advantage of the increase in value of these yield farming tokens. And let me know what you think of Sushi if you've bought any. And in general, just, I don't know, talk crypto to me. I want to hear what's going on. If you're struggling with Ethereum transaction fees, I know that can be stressful and annoying. Or maybe you're more interested in DOT and Polkadot and the fact that, they're going to have lower transaction fees. All right, guys. So with that being said, I look forward to seeing you in the next one.